Today we're talking about the Auburn Tigers. All this and next in Armchair Sports Talk. Welcome back. My name is Sean Hicks. Let's go ahead and jump right into the Auburn Tigers. So Auburn is one of those teams that every time you think you've got them figured out, that all hell breaks loose. I mean, there's no consistency with this. They're good, usually. They're rarely outright terrible, but, man, they are all over the board. And, hey, welcome back. It's the same thing every year. They're not boring, I can tell you that. To me, they're kind of like the drunk teenager in a car that can go way too fast at 2 a.m. That's Auburn to me, because it's probably not going to end well, but, man, they're going to take somebody with them. That looks especially accurate this year. With them, you have a 19th ranked team that in S&P Plus that just got stomped in some big games. And I expect it to be relatively similar this year. Maybe they won't lose to a bottom feeder like, hey, Tennessee. On the other hand, true freshman quarterback starting tends to be weird things happening. And really, when you look at Auburn, that's the problem here. You take a look through a lot of this team, and it looks real good. If you actually had the most important position on the field and weren't looking to apparently start a true freshman Bo Nix, or I guess redshirt freshman Joey Gateway. Either way, it doesn't look good. And really, Gus Malzahn's never had a history of putting together real great quarterbacks. Nick Marshall could play as a converted cornerback, but I don't know. Right now, that's seeming like the outlier and not what you expect to happen. Stidham got drafted with the Patriots, but he kind of always disappointed last year. It was never really all that great. Looked good at times, but just couldn't put it together. You didn't know, maybe it was him not being able to read defense, maybe it was the offense. My thought would be it's him. I really love Gus Malzahn. I think he's a brilliant offensive mind, but just something isn't right here. And now you're trying to bring in what it looks like, according to Camp Insiders, it's going to be Bo Nix as the starter. And what you're hoping for is flashes of brilliance. But, man, 2015 looks like the comp here. Do you remember 2015 when they almost lost to Jacksonville State, when they where they developed Sean White from the walk-on white quarterback group that seems to inhabit every SEC team, and they got them to be okay, maybe. I mean, this is what this looks like again. An outright disaster, given their schedule, looks very possible, and hope with some explosiveness and some really bad mistakes looks like your top end. You're looking for reasonable expectations. It just doesn't look great here on a quarterback standpoint, and it's kind of a shame because if you look at everywhere else, this team is a team that could compete with the big guys in here. I mean, they aren't going to have the talent, but they're not super far behind. But when you have the most important position on your team, true freshman quarterback in this damn league, it could get ugly. I mean, real ugly real quick in some areas, and they better hope that they can get it. It's not going to help with their receiving core. They have some young talent as sophomores that can maybe step up, but, I mean, when you use Ryan Davis and Darius Slayton, you're just not replacing these guys right off the bat. You could maybe have hoped that one of these guys could have been, targets, they were safety valve, but you really got to hope that that they can be one of the freshmen and sophomores can step up and be at least good. But again, when you're combining freshman quarterback with unproven sophomore, even if both of them are talented, you're just asking for a lot of inconsistency, not being able to keep drives, not being able to constantly convert third and short, third and medium, third, let alone third and long. And really, to me, an upside here is explosive, but but inconsistent. It's realistic, right? When I talk about the quarterback upside, I'm kind of expecting a disaster to an extent. The receiver upside, I could see being inconsistent but explosive. That seems realistic. I mean, to me, this team could look a lot like it is last year, minus the occasional brilliance you would see from Stidham in the passing game. The running game and the running backs, I mean, could be really, really, really good. I really like Richards if he can stay healthy. Jatorius Whitlow is expected to be started. He was real good last year. He's averaged like 6 yards a carry. I don't think we have Kerryon Johnson here, but I think we've got some really talented backs that against teams that can't just tee off on the running game, that you can get a lot of explosiveness here. And I do think the fact that Bo Nix is pretty athletic and has the chance to be able to add a lot from a quarterback aspect of the running game. Even with the terrible running game, you could be looking at a top 15 rush offense, top 20 rush offense. It's just combining everything together. There is hope, though, in the offensive line, right? 5 returning seniors. My God, J.B. Grimes turned around one of the worst units to a really good unit last year to expect it to be outright stars this year. They have some depth that looks like they can be rounding out. They can probably take a hit or two. I mean, they're going to grind some folks for sure. And that's the hope, I think, if you're Auburn, that, listen, maybe our passing game isn't great, but we're going to give it a lot of easy reads to really athletic guys because we're just going to be dominating on the ground. I mean, there is a comparison here that I can make, and I think that's Georgia from 2 years ago when they kind of came out of nowhere, when you had Jake Fromm as a freshman, didn't know what you were going to get. Eason was hurt. And you had a lot of questions, and they really were able to pull together a really efficient run game that gave Fromm a lot of easy reads and a dominant defense. Woo, boy, and we're talking about a dominant defense too. In my opinion here, this might be the best defense in the SEC. I know Georgia has a stake in some areas. I know Alabama is obviously always going to be good with Dylan Moses. But, man alive, this is good. They were top 6 last year, and they returned everybody. There's depth everywhere. I mean, maybe there isn't a bunch of top 10 picks on this, which is probably the negative you can see in there, but there's no holes, like, at all. In some ways, to me, this looks like what Michigan's defense was in 2016 and what Georgia's defense was 2 years ago, minus the Roquan spot, is just good everywhere. Let's start on the defensive line. You've got Brown, Davis, and Koo all absolutely returning. They were great rushing the passer last year, and you expect them to be even better this year. For them, it's the question of can they get better in the run game? Now, a lot of people remember the Georgia game last year when they just got bullied throughout the game and down the field. They're older, they're more experienced, and the nice thing is about guys in the run game is pass rush to an extent. It's tough to add that to your arsenal. So much of that is athletic. To an extent, there's only so technique you can get. Run game is a lot of technique, and you can really expect them to probably be a lot better on what you see here. To me, defensive line style, they're going to be great. Don't know if they have a top 10 pick here, but, I mean, good luck, right? I mean, maybe a Georgia can stop them. Maybe a Texas A&M can move them a little bit. Maybe an Alabama. But, I mean, this is going to be dominant all the way through. I mean, this is going to be miserable to be able to go against. So from a linebacker standpoint, on the bad news, they did lose three starters. But I don't know if it's going to be as bad as maybe that tends to imply. Auburn rotated a lot last year with a lot of their young guys. They've got a couple 5-star talent over there. Their defense is going to be very good, which is going to help a lot. It looks more reloading than it does from a, rebounding standpoint, or you just kind of expect them to be there. It's not going to a lot of rebuild. They might get out of their lanes every once in a while. You might get a big play, but I really think, especially the later you get on this year, the better they're going to be. And their upside is a lot higher than it was last year. I really like their linebacker core. I really have to give their defense a lot of credit for being able to Kevin Steele a lot of credit for being able to integrate a lot of guys, even though they lost him. Pro Football Focus loved them. I mean, sample size issues, but yeah, real good. Secondary, man, you return the entire duty from a really good secondary. Listen, guys, that's by itself is going to make up for a lot of issues. Now, okay, there was some shuffling on the cornerback side of things. You do need to deal with what could be a relative weakness from what you see there. But I don't think it's going to be a problem because I think, and me and enunciation, you know how this is going to be, Noah Igabahini is going to be a war daddy lock down a side of it. If there's top potential, he's the guy you're going to get to. And really, Javarius Davis was a huge red flag last year when he moved from offense to defense and got a lot of playing time. He did well in the playing time. Could be a Justin Lane from what you saw from Michigan State, move over from wide receiver, defensive back, who turned out to be way better as defensive back. I think you might get that here, just given how shockingly well he did. Another year in a system, very athletic. You're looking real good. Depth is, once you get to the third, fourth cornerback, you're always kind of hoping for the best. Should have at least some quality guys there that maybe aren't great, but you already got a war daddy. You got somebody who has a breakout potential. You're going to be fine. Safeties are efficient, right? Like really good at stopping things from going 50 yards. Maybe not great in a full one-on-one covering. Like if they got to cover Judy down the seam, that could be a problem, which unfortunately you are going to have to do. But hey, deal with that when you get there, right? Real good. To me, huge havoc rate, doesn't give up a lot of explosive plays, maybe give out of the gaps, but top 5 defense here, maybe the best in the SEC. There's just not weaknesses here that I can see unless linebackers just really don't pan out, and that seems very unlikely. But here's the thing. When you look at everything, to me, 9-3 is probably your ceiling here, right? Georgia, Alabama, the rest of the SEC West, freshman quarterback. Maybe you can convince me that they're just that good and that 10-2 is possible, but that looks like your ceiling. The problem is when you're dealing with a true freshman quarterback with a lot of question marks in that area, your attic, whatever you want, not your attic, your basement, you could fall off a cliff real quick. And 7-5 looks possible. 8-4. I mean, really, you could convince me. You could talk me into Auburn probably from 10-2 to like 4-8, and I could find a way to buy that either way. Split the difference here. Let's send 8-4. In some ways, I feel like this is going to look like a traditional LSU team more than a traditional Auburn team. A lot of problems on offense with the quarterback, enough run game to beat the guys they're just better in, and just a defense that's so terrifying. It's going to be they're going to beat somebody. And to me, Auburn looks like the team that, listen, guys, time to chug a wild turkey, pick up a pack of Marlboros, head down the wrong way of a highway, and hey, look at that Georgia-shaped vehicle. That's coming my way. Sure, nothing bad can happen. All right, guys, let me know what you think of your Auburn Tigers prediction by dropping a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Share this with a friend. Check out the merch. Really helped the show. From Our Chance Sports Talk, we'll see you next time.